how can you possibly argue or claim there's thousands of people dying from vaccine injuries when there's just no evidence for it? It's just a bizarre thing to me, and I've been asking for days now on multiple platforms, across all different platforms. I don't know, dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and I'm just getting nothing. So You've got to just say, well, it isn't true. It can't be true. So, unless somebody comes back and tells me, and there's verifiable data of all these thousands of people dying of the vaccine, then fine, I'll believe it. Go ahead. Right. But nobody has. And I'm going to keep asking. I'm going to keep asking and keep asking and keep asking. And I'm going to make it public that people see that I'm asking. So I may do a video in the future and try and push it through as much as possible and show people that these anti-vaxxers are making false claims.
Yes.
Because and I'll probably do that for a few more weeks. I'm going to keep asking every day, every single day.
Good idea. Good idea.
The problem with the anti-vaxxers is they really just don't have the background to do the research that they need to understand this issue. Right. I don't know how to change the brakes in my car, but I know people who do. I can read a manual just like anybody else. It doesn't really mean that much to me. That's why, if I need my brakes changed, I'm going to go ahead and consult somebody who actually knows how to do it. These anti-vaxxers somehow think that by watching a few YouTube videos, they're suddenly become an expert in virology, immunology, medicine, and public health, and they aren't. And they don't make good decisions. It's one of the reasons we have public health laws. But you know what I always say to the anti-vaxxers? Just from my aspect, well, here's the deal. We live in a society, and society has rules. And as the judge told Flat Earth Foker, these rules are not by your consent. They don't require your consent to follow the law. The public health laws basically say that you need to be vaccinated to do certain things. That's not up for your approval. If you don't like it, there are two options that you have. Either one, you can elect people to represent you that don't believe in science. We do seem to have a group of people that do that. Or two, you can take it to court, because that's the way we change things in a free society. We either elect people that more closely follow our wishes, or if we feel that our rights are being violated, we can take it to court. Going on out and bitching on YouTube is not going to do anything and is, quite frankly, irrelevant. So, the bottom line is if your community requires you to be vaccinated to be in school, or if the airliner requires you to be vaccinated in order to be on one of their privately owned aircraft, quite frankly, you can either vaccinate or do what Central Michigan University does. And that is that you will be vaccinated to attend classes here, or if you choose not to be vaccinated, you will submit to weekly testing. Those are the two conditions that you can be here. There's no religious exemption for weekly testing. If you feel that, your religion or your personal beliefs preclude you from vaccinating, not a problem. You're going to wear a mask, because there's no religion that says you can't wear a mask. And you're going to get a nasal swab shoved into your posterior nasal pharynx on a weekly basis. And if you don't do it, we're going to fine you, and you will pay the fine as a condition of continuing to be in school. Simple as that. And as a result, their vaccination rate in students is over 80%. Their faculty vaccination rate is 92%, and the community vaccination rate is 55%.
And where's that, Bob?
Central Michigan University in Mount Pleasant, Michigan.
Nice.
And if you don't like it, you don't have to go to school. Nobody's forcing you to do it.
Yep. And at Matt's school, not only is he fully vaccinated, he wears a mask all day, every day. He's fine. He gets tested all the time. I opted into that. I did that on purpose. I don't want this kid to get sick. It's like I take these health things very seriously. I don't have the time to go chasing around all these conspiracies and listen to them before listening to what the health authorities are saying. It's just, I'm going to make sure that I, follow all the rules that I possibly can to keep myself safe, because I'm the only one that Matt has now, and to keep him safe as well, so he doesn't get sick too. I don't want him to get sick. I don't want him, to get injured from this disease, because he could. It's so, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to be a group effort to really get it done. Yeah,
well, it is, exactly. It's just,
look how fast Omicron spread. I mean, it's everywhere already.
Exactly.
No,
and I just got a sort of super chat. Thank you so much. This is from Steaming Cup of Reason. He says, "My very best to you all. Happy holidays." Thank you so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Hey, cool.
This is a question actually I'd like to direct to Dr. Bob, if I may. In terms of Omicron, can you what's the difference between Omicron and the previous variants? What can you tell us about it? How it compares?
There's a never-ending battle between pathogens and our efforts to end public health. All right.
Right. Yeah.
One of the problems that you run into with a pathogen is it has to keep you somewhat alive so that it can reproduce, which is its goal. It does not achieve its goal if it kills the host. So if you have a particularly deadly pathogen, that's going to die out quickly because it's going to kill such a high percentage of its host. It's looking for that sweet spot that, it can maintain itself in a population and continue to reproduce without killing off its host. Omicron, Delta was pretty bad. Omicron is new. They've got more information on it in the UK, where it's a little bit more prevalent, but it's starting to rise here.
Right. Yeah.
And, we don't really have I don't have a good characterization of it compared to, say, Delta or straight COVID. Correct. So the bottom line is, if it can get into you, it's a danger, because a certain percentage of people with COVID or any of these variants are going to die. Another much larger percentage is going to get sick. And of the people that, recover from it, how many people do they pass it on to?
Right.
It's just, even if the person that gets it doesn't necessarily die, what about the little old lady with the diabetes that's down at the local store where you buy your cigarettes, or the grocery store, or the restaurant at the next table over? These are people that are going to die. Look at Flat Earth Foker as a good example of what I consider anti-vaxxers, because he had absolutely no concern whatsoever for anyone around him. He'd spit infected phlegm out on the street. He would mock people that had, that were concerned about COVID, even when they actually were people that knew about it. He was planning a cross-Canada trip into people's homes, for Christ's sake. And then he died 2 days later. Not only was he in denial, he absolutely cared about nobody other than number one. He wasn't going to be inconvenienced by this, or having to wear a mask or a seatbelt or anything else. He was just a contrarian. And I feel sorry for his family. I wish that they had done an intervention on him. But, Rob Skiba's the same way. He's out preaching no masks, and then he goes out and dies of it. These are the people that are causing problems in our society right now. And it isn't a freedom issue. It isn't a HIPAA issue. HIPAA specifically excludes public health information, which means that if you are required to get vaccinated in order to go to work, your boss is entitled to ask you to show proof of your vaccination and can share that information with your supervisor. And that is not a HIPAA violation. And, these people that claim that it is never actually read HIPAA.
Okay, Bob, what about informed consent?
That's fine. All vaccines are with informed consent.
How can there be informed consent if there's any coercion?
What coercion?
Coercion.
You're more than welcome to refuse the vaccine if you wish.
Well, you're not, though, are you? You're saying, well, you can't do this, you can't do that unless you have it.
You're right. You can't.
That's coercion.
You can't. No, you can't be a doctor unless you go to medical school and go through the licensure process. You can't be an attorney unless you pass the bar.
You can't drive unless you're where you.
We all have requirements to do things that we want to do. This is the requirement to do things that you want to do, i.e. participate in society.
It's different when it actually...
No, it's not. Absolutely.
It is when it involves your own body. You're giving up the right to your body.
Not. Absolutely not. You want to talk about Nuremberg? You want to talk about the Nuremberg and the Helsinki protocols? You want to try that little game too?
I don't really want to actually get into a horrible argument with you. I don't actually like the division part. I actually hate it, to be honest with you.
Great.
But I mean, it's
here it is. Are you required by law? Are you required by law to have a vaccination in order to do certain things, or do the people that actually own those things and control them require you to have a vaccination in order for you to use them? Yes or no?
I'm trying to think. You have to have it to be able to do certain things.
Great. So it is your free will to either get it and do those things or not get it and don't do them. You're more than welcome to homeschool your children.
There's people that are losing their jobs because they don't want to have it.
Well, that's their choice. They chose their beliefs over their job. And I have no sympathy. The range of my sympathy for any healthcare provider or public safety official or anybody else that loses their job because they don't care enough about other people to prevent the transmission of a vaccine preventable disease need to be in another field. I have 0 meters of sympathy for them. 0.
No, I think that's a bit harsh.
Yeah, well, so's death. And quite frankly, these are the people that are putting my 85-year-old mother at risk because their little conspiracy theory is more important to them than the science and public health. And they are willfully putting my 85-year-old mother at risk. So I have 0 sympathy for them.
The problem is you don't know the long-term effects. You are asking people to take a chance.
All right, let's go ahead.
You don't know what's going to happen in 10 years to people.
All right, let's go ahead and hit this then. Now, there are 5 characteristics of science denial. Number 1 is cherry picking. Number 2 is belief in conspiracy theory. Number 3 is promotion of fake experts over real experts. Number 4 is illogical scientific reasoning. And number 5 is unrealistic expectations of science. Now, it all goes back to the tobacco script. Are you familiar with the tobacco script?
I am, where they said it was safe. Some people said it wasn't safe.
No, what the tobacco script is that doubt is your friend. Why don't we wait until all the evidence is in before we decide whether or not we want to put warnings on cigarettes? We have experts that disagree with your experts. We don't know what causes cancer. We believe in public health. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up with a medical research facility called the Tobacco Research Institute. And what we're going to do with the Tobacco Research Institute is we're going to try and find the cause of cancer. And we're going to look at environmental radiation. We're going to look at fungus. We're going to look at viruses. You know what we're not going to look at? Tobacco. All right. And it was so successful that they turned around and a lot of these science denial cults started picking up on the same thing. You will listen to exactly the same thing. When you look at young earth creationists, you'll look exactly the same thing with the anti-vaxxers and the flat earthers. You just said it. We don't know what's going to happen in the future. It's not 100% safe and effective. Can you name a medicine or a food for that matter that is 100% safe and effective? Can you die from the ingestion of water? Of course you can.
It's different because...
No, it's not different at all. It's an excuse.
Usually you get these are tested for 10 years.
No. Is it fully certified and tested? The answer is yes. And when you throw enough money at something, you can get through it quickly.
But you
So
can't,
this is
because
another excuse that you're doing to try and give people plausible deniability to not quit smoking or not take the vaccine. What do we know? Is it going to come out in 10 years? What is the complication rate for a vaccination? Do you even know any of this stuff?
Wow.
What is the current complication rate of vaccination?
The problem is, I'll go into what M2M said earlier about the reporting system.
What is the reporting system?
The reporting system is the only thing we've got.
And what does that say?
Any other information?
What's it say?
It's showing there's a lot of side effects.
Like what?
And
Name
deaths. Blood clots, stroke.
Blood clots. What's the rate of blood clots in untreated COVID?
Well, I'd have to check. I don't know off the top of my head.
Would it surprise you to find out it's much higher than the rate of blood clots from vaccinations in only one of the types of vaccinations? So if 100 people with COVID get blood clots and one person out of 1 million gets a blood clot from the vaccination, should we vaccinate under those numbers?
If that's the correct numbers, but the trouble is the reporting system, we don't know.
Sure we do.
We don't.
We know it exactly. Why don't we look at it right now? You want to look at it right now together?
Because only a certain percentage actually report it, and we don't know. Things can be made up. We don't know. And that's the problem.
Okay, so if you don't know, do you know what COVID does?
So they say.
No, not so they say. What does COVID do?
M2M went down with COVID. He can tell us exactly what it does.
It depends on the person. For some people,
and what does it depend on the person for?
Well, some people, they hardly even know they've got it.
Okay, so they pass it on to other
very
people.
Severe.
So it's okay for those people to just pass it on to other people because they're okay. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not saying that.
Okay, what are you saying then?
What am I saying about what exactly?
I'm asking you specifically when it's okay to have COVID and pass it on. Is it all right if the person doesn't feel sick to go ahead and pass it on?
You try to do your best so it doesn't pass on. It's the same as if you got
what would you do to not pass it on?
What's that?
What would you do? What would you do to not pass it on if you didn't know you had it? Do you wear a mask every time you're outside?
You didn't know you had it, but can you prove that asymptomatic transmission is common?
Yes.
I just need to jump in real quick.
Last year they said it wasn't.
Well,
hey guys,
last year they may have been wrong. Now they know more, right? Go ahead, Amy.
Sorry about that. Thank you. I just wanted to say from Gary IOW, we had a good comment. He said he suffers from blood clots, had 3 DVTs and 2 PEs in the past. I have both my vaccines and the booster, and I'm still sucking in air. So that's bollocks. Yeah. So there we go. So there's that.
If I could just add to that as well, actually, that's quite a good comment because it's relative to my ex-wife, mother of my children. Is for those of you who don't know, she's in ICU currently at the moment because of complications from a COVID infection. One of the reasons that she decided not to have the vaccine, and I do say one of the reasons, or maybe it was an excuse, I don't know, was the risk or the slight heightened risk of blood clots from the AstraZeneca vaccine. But the other influence was her current partner, who was an anti-vaxxer. I just wanted to add to that. So that was one of the reasons why she decided not to. But now, because of that decision, she's now in ICU on a ventilator. That's the result of that. I think when she comes out of hospital, she's going to clearly say, well, the risk, it wasn't worth me doing that because she's had 2 blood clots and they were pretty easily treatable. She was treated. But on this occasion, she got COVID and she's nearly died. Thank God she's actually heading in the road to recovery. She's doing quite well at the moment.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
So where's your data that the vaccine is more dangerous than the disease itself?
Well, all we've got to go on at the moment is the reporting data that people are reporting because that's all there is. In the UK, I believe people have to collaborate it with at least your NHS number, I believe. I think it has to be. I think there's some collaboration there with the UK version, but it's nowhere near perfect.
Does it need to be perfect?
But that's all we've got. That's the problem.
Does it need to be perfect?
We don't know. We don't know. That's
no. I want you to tell me yes or no. Does the data need to be perfect before we can look at it?
Well, ideally, but it doesn't have to be perfect. No.
Correct. It doesn't have to be. So simply because the data is not perfect does not mean that we should not look at what it tells us. What's it telling us? Does it tell us that the vaccine is safer? Or does it tell us that the vaccine is more dangerous or that COVID is more dangerous? What does the data tell us?
I'd argue that well, I don't want to get you strikes here. I'd say the jab.
The jab what?
Is more dangerous.
Okay, then you're an idiot. All right, because the data does not say anything close to that. How many vaccine deaths have there been in the United States?
I'd have to check the VAR system.
No, you're from the UK, right?
Yeah.
You tell me how many vaccine deaths there have been in the UK.
I'd have to check the system. It's
okay,
been a
well,
while
if you're
since I last checked
that,
it.
why don't you know that right now?
Because I came on the last minute tonight. I didn't expect to be coming on.
Are you PJ?
I am.
Great. Did you not know last week that you were coming to face me today?
I didn't know.
Did you not have to go get a headset? Did you not go get other things? Did you not know that you were coming to face me?
It wasn't 100
respect. Do you have that little respect for me that you didn't bother preparing to come?
I didn't know there wasn't tonight.
Yeah, there wasn't a firm thing for tonight because of our channel strike and stuff. We figured you guys were going to be getting together next week on our channel, right?
Right.
All right. Do you want to get together next week and have your crap together?
I don't really want to argue in a bad way with you.
All right.
But I don't mind debating. I haven't got anything against you. Yeah.
According to the World Health Organization, there are 146,937 deaths in the United Kingdom from COVID. How many vaccine deaths have been in the United Kingdom? Is it 200,000?
I'd have to check. It was quite a lot. But
is
the
it
thing is, they
200,000?
say that their reports are only between 1% and 10% of the actual figure.
Okay, so let's go 10%, okay?
Yeah.
When you say they say that, who's saying that, PJ?
It's been said before with other reports. It's a general thing to say that only it's usually 10% for the more serious and 1% for the less serious.
But that's what I'm asking you. When you say they are saying the reports, who's reporting that though?
It's the actual people that I think it's the NHS or the MHRA.
Okay.
In the past, with reports, they say that only between 1% and 10% they believe are reported. But for the more serious, it's usually 10%. For the less serious, it can be as low as 1%.
Great. What is the rate of vaccine injury per million doses?
Not very high reported at the moment.
It's 1. And of those, how many of those are actually related to the vaccine? Would it surprise you to find out that 4 out of 5 vaccine injuries are due to the needle rather than the actual vaccine? You got a brachial plexus injury or something? You want to challenge my data? Shall I pull up the vaccine injury fund right now and prove that to you?
If you want, yeah.
No. If I show you the data on the vaccine injuries and it matches what I just said, are you going to change your mind?
I don't know because I haven't seen the data.
What would change your mind on vaccines?
What would change my mind?
Yes.
Probably have to be quite some time waiting to see what happens to other people.
Okay, how many people have to die in the meantime before that happens?
The thing is...
What's an acceptable number of deaths?
But you're going on the assumption that they're actually effective.
They are effective.
Okay, I just need to jump in.
Do you have data that say that it isn't? Go ahead, Amy.
Go ahead there, Amy.
Sorry about that. Thanks. I got a sort of super chat from John Rapp. He says just a small amount for a big thing from just John Rapp. Thank you so much.
Nice one, John. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you.
All right. So you want to promote we want to wait and see tobacco strategy. Okay, great. When will enough data be in for you?
It could be a while because
how long? I want a number of months. When is enough?
When is enough?
Yes. Well, when is enough? How long?
A couple of years at least.
Okay. A couple is 2 years, 24 months. Is that going to be good enough for you?
Probably.
How many people are going to die of COVID in the meantime?
But would they have died anyway?
No.
But how do you know that?
Because the vaccine reduces your chance of catching COVID by 95%, and it also decreases the severity of your illness. All right.
So
are the majority of people in ICU right now vaccinated or unvaccinated?
They say they're unvaccinated.
No, not they say. What does the data show?
The data shows they're unvaccinated. However, it shows they're not fully vaccinated. Is more the answer.
Okay, so
not fully vaccinated can be defined as you've just had the jab and it's been 14 days.
Stop calling it a jab. It's called a vaccination. All right. Don't use the word jab. Use the correct word. It's called a vaccination.
They redefined what vaccine actually was defined as. So
no, they didn't.
The CDC did.
No, they didn't. Now, the bottom line is this. The vast majority of people currently hospitalized for COVID are unvaccinated. A very tiny percent of those are actually vaccinated. When you get vaccinated, you can still get COVID, but your chances of getting it are 1 in 20 versus 20 in 20. Okay? Now,
I've seen this challenged.
I don't care if you've seen it challenged. That's what the data shows. You can't challenge the data.
I've seen people say the data's nonsense.
Well,
that's for more than one reason.
Do you want to deal with somebody and listen to people that are actually trained in this, or do you want to see a YouTube video that agrees with your silly beliefs?
But it's some of the YouTube. Well, YouTube has banned most of them, but some of the videos are qualified doctors as well.
Yeah, we have idiots in our profession too. M2M, you've got a hand raised.
Yeah, just to back up, you're saying that it reduces the symptoms. I've said this story before. This is before my ex-wife got sick as well. I contracted COVID. In the meantime, I have a problem with my heart. My heart function is reduced. I take medication for that. Going back about a year and a half ago, my medication was reduced, but sadly, the reduction of the medication probably over time caused my heart function to reduce significantly. And when I contracted COVID, they think it had that kind of triggered things because I was getting breathless and all the rest of it. So, kind of long story short, I went to the hospital, got an appointment as an outpatient with a consultant. And when they reviewed my heart and the DCGs and echo and all the rest of it as well, she asked me, "Are you vaccinated?" Because I was COVID positive at the time. And I said yes. And her response was unequivocally, "Well, it's just as well then." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, you could have been very seriously ill or worse."
Yeah,
that's from a consultant.
What I have up on the screen right now is the current data from the CDC here in the United States. The blue is the rate in unvaccinated these are of hospitalized patients. The rate in blue is unvaccinated, and in green is vaccinated. What does that data tell you, PJ?
Well, that data shows you that more unvaccinated people are in ICU.
Okay, what does that tell you about public health and demographics and
but that's if you agree with the data that's there.
You don't have a choice to agree with it, all right? It's not up. It doesn't require your approval. This is the data.
Stats can be presented in numerous ways that can be fiddled.
Okay, why would they be fiddled? For what reason? To what end game?
Because they want people to have the jab. So they want to present that.
Of course they want people to have the jab. Why do you think they want people to have the jab? And stop calling it the jab.
Sorry.
You call it a jab again.
I call it that because I'm worried
You're going to
about
call
you
it
getting
vaccination
striked.
because that's what it's called. Now, why do you think they want people to get vaccinated?
They will claim it's because they want to help people, but I think there's more to it than that. I think there's more to it than that.
What? What more?
What more?
Yeah, what more? You think there's more to it. So what is it?
If you want me to go into a long conspiracy, but it's...
Yeah,
it's
well,
not,
you're welcome to go
nice.
into a long conspiracy if you have actual evidence and data to back it up. Do you know the difference between a conspiracy and a conspiracy theory? A conspiracy actually has data to back it up and gets exposed. A conspiracy theory is a belief in a conspiracy even after there's data like this to completely
hold on, sorry, I've got somebody at my door. Hold on.
Yeah, of course you do.
Bear with me, sorry, mate.
I'm done with him. Now, do any thinking people actually have a question about any of this stuff?
To be honest with you, Bob, you may be done with him, but no, you're not done with him. You have to keep pushing him to the whole reason why he's here. He's not here to be educated by you. He's here for you to expose, and that's exactly what you're doing. You know, with this your current line of inquiry is pushing him to expose his conspiratorial nature.
I've already done that because he doesn't have anything that will change his beliefs.
We're not trying to change his beliefs. You can't do that.
But the point is, the thing that you have to ask a conspiratorial thinker is, what will change your beliefs? What evidence could I present you right now that would change your beliefs? And they won't have any. It's like trying to convince a flat earther. If they refuse to accept and respect evidence, you're not going to change their mind. But I think the people that are listening to this are getting, have already made up their own mind. I came here prepared and I came here with data. He didn't even bother doing any research beyond YouTube videos. He can't quote me the vaccine complication rate in his own country. He can't quote me he can't even estimate the number of people that have died of COVID. He is blissfully ignorant on this, and yet he has opinions for it. And that's the problem that you run into. Now, the only reason that I'm irritated is that he disrespected me tonight by not coming prepared. He should have been ready. And that bothers me a bit.
I thought it was cancelled because of the strike.
The last I heard was from Dick, who told me at midweek that he had gotten his headset and we were looking at Friday or Saturday. So I checked last night and I checked today, and here he is today.
And I even said, "Is it me on Saturday?" And they said, "No, it's something else." That's why I wasn't ready.
Yeah, to be fair, Bob, we weren't sure whether even tonight was going to go ahead because the Shills channel obviously has had a community guidelines strike. Gotcha. So we weren't sure what was going to actually happen. So it kind of was a little bit last minute, to be fair. But I
look on the bright side. They don't take channels down for doxing people, and we're going to find out whether or not they take it down for copyright infringement.
Yeah,
because two of them went out today.
I kind of would like to see this discussion done on another day, perhaps when PJ's a little bit more prepared.
I'm good with that.
If PJ's happy with that.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll prepare myself better. And I will say thank you to everybody because I don't want to argue with you in a nasty way. I don't like that. Yeah.
Well, we'll have a good discussion next week, PJ. You come and get some data, and here's some specific things that I'm going to hit you on. I'm going to give you a warning. I'm going to want to know the rate of COVID per 100,000 in the United Kingdom. And I want to know the vaccination rate. I want to know the rate of complications from the COVID vaccine versus the rate of complications of COVID. All variants.
Okay.
And I want you to be able to tell me what data we have on social distancing and masking. And I want you to be familiar with the 1918 to 1920 pandemic of influenza. Okay?
Right, okay.
Because I can pull that crap right off the top of my head. And if you need to research it, I've got a number of videos on my channel that you can research that bring out all of the data that you will need to answer my questions.
Okay. All right, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Have a good night.
Good night, mate.